Hello and welcome to part 3 of this tutorial, how to turn a simple ceiling design into a production drawing. In part 3 we will go through the first steps in creating the production drawing. These are to organise the drawing into layers and then to look at what line thicknesses should be used for various parts of the drawing. So the first thing to say about doing a drawing in any CAD program is to always carry out the basic work at full size, scale 1 to 1. That's the beauty of doing stuff on the computer, is that you don't have at this stage of the drawing, before you output it, you can actually put stuff in at its real size, and it makes life so much easier. You're not always converting real measurements to their scaled version. The scaling comes later in the CAD drawing process when you come to output it, and we'll go through those steps a bit later. So this is drawn in what AutoCAD calls model space, and that's where the drawing is created at full size. So for example, we can see, if I click on this line and we look at its dimension, length 1350, 13500 millimeters. So that's the other thing to say with architectural drawings: always use millimeters as the drawing unit, and you don't really want to have fractions of a millimeter, so you set your drawing units to round off at a millimeter. I'll move on to changing this drawing into all the things that need to happen to make it a production drawing. The first thing to really focus on is layering. Layering is very important in a CAD drawing, because it means you can control parts of the drawing more effectively. At the moment, everything, I'll just bring across the layer box from off screen into on screen. Everything in this drawing is on the 0 layer, and it would be good to put things like walls onto one layer, dimensions on another layer, and this sort of thing. It then means that you can control those entities, you can change them more easily, you can freeze them off, and so on and so forth. So always think about layering and what you can put onto which layer. It's really a fundamental part of doing a CAD drawing. There are standards for layers, which if you're working in a big team on a big project, no doubt you'll be asked to work to those, or particular companies have their own standards, but for a small one-off thing like this, it's perfectly acceptable to make your own layers that suit the drawing. So let's put in some layers that suit this, what we're doing here. The first thing I think that we need would be a wall layer to include these lines which represent the walls. It's good to give layers different colours in CAD drawing so that you can easily pick them out. So we're giving the wall layer, not giving it red, we're making it red. And while we're at this stage, start thinking a bit about the output of the drawing. At the moment it's a single thickness line, which will output as a single thickness line. There is an opportunity at this stage in AutoCAD to associate a line thickness with every layer, so that's what we'll do. It's called line weight. Here we are, and for this layer we're going to use 0.25. So line weights, let's just flip over to a website which shows this, demonstrates this quite well. You can see here the drawing pens that are used in the industry. They are now standardized, and all companies make these sizes. It's to do with metrication, and there's a website here called metrication.com, and you can see that the sizes of the pens 0.13, 0.18, 0.25, 0.35, 0.5, 0.7. So it's worth setting the pen sizes in your drawing or line weights within your drawing to these sizes. This is a useful little website which includes some useful things about drafting in metric environments. For example, there's a page on paper sizes, the A sizes, and gives you some tips about a drawing sheet layout. This is an engineering based sort of layout, but it scales. This shows the basic scales. This is really an engineering site, so it doesn't include the architectural scales. Dimensioning, it's got a few useful tips about how you do or show dimensioning on a drawing, and they seem to be quite clear. Again, an engineering drawing, but there's some very useful things to be gained from looking at this. So back to our drawing, and we've created a layer for the walls. It's red and the pen thickness is 0.25. Some other things that we might need would say the ceiling items. Let's give them a layer, calling it ceiling items. And make this one yellow. Pen thickness, let's have that a little bit thinner, so we'll go for 0.18. And we could do with a layer that deals with the ceiling perimeter. This gives us the opportunity to pick that out in a heavier line, we'll see later. So ceiling perimeter, let's make that cyan, that'll stand out on the page, sort of reflecting a wider, thicker pen. We'll use 0.35. And let's have a layer for notes, that would be useful. Let's put that in as white. And pen thickness, let's say 0.18. We can see whether we've got these right when we do a trial print, and we'll show that later on in the tutorial. Finally, a layer for dimensions, and it repeats the layer that we last did, which is don't have the same properties, and we're happy with those. Pen of 0.18 and coloured white. So let's set up our layers. Let's move this off the page. We'll move it to the side. I'll move off the page, will be easier. And let's open the properties box and start and use this to change various items onto their own layers. So picking out the ceiling perimeter first. That's those 4 lines, and put them onto the ceiling perimeter layer, and there you can see it's gone cyan. Let's do the walls next. And moving them onto the layer called walls, and they instantly turn red. That's good. Now at this stage the only thing we've got to change is, I'll just move this off screen, these everything in the ceiling we're going to put into the ceiling items layer. Ceiling items, and they've gone yellow, which is what we set it to be. So there we have it.